Imagine shaking someone's hand and realizing your palm is drenched. You weren't nervous, you weren't hot. Yet somehow your hands decided to start their own private rainstorm. Sounds familiar? You're not alone. For some people, sweating is a normal response to heat, exercise, or stress. But for others, the sweat never seems to stop, especially from the hands and feet. It happens in class, in meetings, even while holding a phone. It's uncomfortable, awkward, and sometimes downright embarrassing. But what's really going on inside your body when your palms and soles won't stay dry? Let's start with the basics. Sweating is one of your body's most important survival tools. It's how we cool ourselves down when things get too hot. The moment your internal temperature rises, your brain, specifically the hypothalamus, sends a signal to millions of sweat glands scattered all over your skin. They release moisture, which evaporates and cools you off. Simple, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Not all sweat glands are created equal. The human body has about 2 to 5 million sweat glands, but there are two main types, eccrine and apocrine. The eccrine glands are the ones responsible for sweating on your hands, feet, face, and most other areas. They're controlled by your sympathetic nervous system, the same system that activates during stress or excitement. So even if you're not feeling particularly nervous, your body might still think you are. In short, your hands and feet can sweat simply because your brain's fight or flight system is a little too enthusiastic. Now, there's a medical term for this: primary focal hyperhidrosis. That's a fancy way of saying you sweat a lot, but only in specific areas. It usually affects the hands, feet, underarms, or face. And the cause isn't completely understood. Scientists think it might be due to overactive nerves that tell the sweat glands to go, 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 even when they don't need to. In some cases, genetics play a role. If your parents or siblings also have sweaty hands or feet, you might have inherited it. Lucky you, right? But there's also secondary hyperhidrosis, where excessive sweating happens because of another condition. That could include thyroid problems, diabetes, menopause, certain infections, or even side effects from medications. In those cases, treating the underlying cause often helps reduce the sweating too. So not all sweaty hands are created equal. Some are just a bit more medically dramatic than others. Let's talk about what it actually feels like. People with palm or foot sweating often describe it as something they can't control. One moment their hands are dry, and the next it's like they've touched water. Paper gets soggy, touchscreens won't respond, handshakes become a nightmare. Some even avoid holding hands or wearing open-toed shoes in public. It's not dangerous, but it can affect confidence, social interactions, and even daily productivity. Imagine trying to write on a test paper while your palm slowly smudges every word. Not fun. Now, here's a small comfort. You're far from alone. About 3% of the world's population has some form of hyperhidrosis. That might not sound like much, but that's more than 200 million people worldwide. So yes, there's probably someone right now, somewhere, drying their hands under a desk just like you. The next question: why the hands and feet? These areas have one of the highest concentrations of eccrine sweat glands in the body, nearly 600 per square centimeter. That's like a miniature rainforest of sweat glands packed into each palm. And since your hands and feet are full of nerve endings, they're extremely sensitive to emotional triggers. So even if you're not feeling particularly nervous, your body might still think you are. Your body doesn't distinguish between public speaking and replying to an awkward text. Stress is stress. And no, sweating like this doesn't mean you're unhealthy. Your body is just a bit overprotective, like that friend who brings a jacket to the beach just in case. But still, too much of a good thing can be a problem. So what can you do about it? There are several treatment options ranging from mild to high-tech. The simplest method? Antiperspirants, but not the kind you put under your arms. There are clinical strength versions for hands and feet that contain aluminum chloride. They block the sweat ducts temporarily and reduce moisture. However, they don't work for everyone. Another option is iontophoresis, a process where you soak your hands or feet in shallow water while a low electric current passes through. It sounds intimidating, but it's painless for most people. The electricity helps block the sweat glands for a while, often lasting a week or two. It's like pressing pause on your sweat mode. For more severe cases, doctors might recommend botulinum toxin injections. Yes, Botox. The same thing people use for wrinkles can actually stop sweat glands from working by blocking the nerves that trigger them. It's surprisingly effective, though not exactly comfortable. Imagine tiny injections across your palms. You'll probably sweat from fear before the treatment starts. If nothing else works, there's a surgical procedure called sympathectomy, where doctors cut or clamp the nerves that cause the excessive sweating. It's considered a last resort because it can cause side effects like compensation sweating, meaning you might stop sweating on your hands but start sweating somewhere else instead. It's like your body saying, "Oh, we're not done with this yet." Of course, not everyone wants or needs medical treatment. Sometimes lifestyle tweaks help too. Wearing breathable shoes and socks, washing hands with cool water instead of warm, avoiding spicy food or caffeine, and practicing stress management techniques like deep breathing or meditation. They won't cure it, but they can make the condition less noticeable day to day. Now, here's something to keep in mind. Sweating is not your enemy. It's one of the most natural things your body does. Without it, you'd overheat, your skin would suffer, and your internal systems would fail. In fact, sweating helps your body detoxify and regulate salt balance. The only problem is when it shows up uninvited, like that one friend who always arrives early to the party. So if you find your palms or feet constantly drenched, don't panic. It doesn't mean something is seriously wrong. It just means your sweat glands are a bit too enthusiastic. And hey, maybe that means your body's cooling system is just high performance. Still, if it affects your life, it's worth talking to a doctor. There's nothing embarrassing about it. Doctors have seen worse, and there are more solutions today than ever before. So, next time someone shakes your hand and notices it's a little damp, don't rush to apologize. Just smile and say, "I'm well hydrated." In the end, sweat is proof that your body's alive, active, and doing its job. Sometimes a bit too well, but still doing what it was designed to do. If you want more science-based explanations for everyday mysteries, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to WiseUse, where even sweat has a story worth telling.